Hi, I'm Sarah Traddles. I'm a senior financial services officer in the Schoolcraft branch. And today I am gonna talk to you about the lending process and learning the lending process and what a lender would like to see. So I'm gonna try to share my screen and start my presentation. As I said, I'm Sarah Traddles, and what I will do today is an overview. We're going to talk about who's on your financial team before you're meeting with your lender, what you should do, what you should have with you, business plan, financial statements, understanding your lending options, the 5 C's of credit, the lending process, your initial meeting, applying for credit, documentation required, effectively working with your lender, and the timeline of expectations of what you can kind of expect. Your financial team starts with an accountant. Having good, solid financials to base things on will make your life easier, and your loan officer, financial services officer. Financial and investment planners help you to understand where you're at, where you're going, and to make wise investment moves. Your financial services officer or your loan officer also should be a part of your team, and you should plan things with them. Your insurance agent, an attorney, mentor, those are all crucial pieces to the financial team. Before you meet with your lender, you need to have a couple things. A business plan. So you want to have a description of your business, the goals and objectives, and we'll kind of go over that today a little bit. Internal resources. What resources do you have available? What equipment? What other things do you have? Market analysis, so you understand the market that you're entering or are a part of. Marketing plan, a sales plan, an operations plan, and then projections for revenue and expenses, and an exit strategy. I'll jump right into what a mission should look like, a mission statement. You want to plan to succeed. The mission for your business guides everything you do. Keep it simple and finding the lowest common denominator. Objectives are general directives for your business. They outline what you want for your business to look like in the future, and they stay focused on your mission statement. So I have an example here. The mission of Tyler's Tip Top Tomatoes LLC is to grow good food and make good money for this people. Tyler has an objective to work and have Sundays off, but it sounds like he's willing to put in the work. He has an objective as far as how much money he wants to make each operating cycle, and some efficiencies and things that he wants to work on to become a better producer and to give back and give increased communication with customers. So this plan here is like a one-page business plan that gives him some identifiable objectives to be able to make his business better. Before meeting with your lender, a few things that we like to see, and I like to go over a budget. That's like a cash flow statement. This is going to show your repayment, how you're going to be able to do this, and what you're projecting for the year coming up. A balance sheet is best looked at as a snapshot in time. That's your assets and your liabilities at a particular date. So if you're coming up with all of your accounts, you want your inventory, your grain, or your accounts receivable to be as of the same date, so you're not double counting or forgetting to count, something like that. Also, your profit and loss, or this can be tax return, historical earnings. We want to see that as well. Show us the money. This is an example of a blank balance sheet, but there's quite a lot we can learn from that. And the top part of this balance sheet, on the left column, is all about the assets. On the right column, it's all about the liabilities, or what you owe money to. Now, the top half, the current assets and the current liabilities, that us is a function of time. That is 1 year is what we consider current. So anything that is going to become cash value in the next 12 months or could become cash value. Cash obviously falls in that, but crop inventory, receivables, growing crops, prepaid expenses that you're going to use into the crops, that all counts as part of your current assets. Supplies you have on hand, that stuff is all current assets. And then your current liabilities are anything that you owe money that you should pay in the next year. Your operating loan, that comes due each year. It should be paid or zeroed down. Principal and interest payments on your intermediate and long-term liabilities also come up here, but just the principal part and the interest, as well, is due in that next year, not the whole balance of those accounts. Down below in intermediate assets, this is where your breeding stock, livestock, your machinery and equipment, vehicles, 401ks, stuff like that's going to fall into intermediate assets. Intermediate assets is anything more than a year. We typically say less than 10 years, but there's some examples like a 401k may be longer than that, but we would still put it there. And then your long-term assets would be your real estate, improvements to the land. Sometimes examples of that could be grain bins or pivots, facilities, barns, depending on your operation. Long-term life of the asset would be more than 10 years. And then long-term liabilities, would it be any debt that's associated with that? And intermediate liabilities would be debt that is associated with equipment, breeding stock, livestock, that type of thing to match the intermediate assets. Couple things to have. You want to have your historical finance IRS tax returns, and that's the whole tax return. We like to see both the federal and the state and depreciation sheets. Profit and loss on the current year, like in this example, it's October when we're recording this. We'd want to see a P&L for this year, a projection, cash flow statement. That's kind of what you envision the next year to look like. And then the balance sheet or snapshot that we just talked a little bit about. Understanding your lending options, there's a few different types of loans that you could come in and ask for. A line of credit, and what that is it's for operating funds. You're going to pay that off each year. That kind of helps the process because given that farming is such a cyclical business, you put so much money out there, and then there are times of the year where you don't have the cash flow. So that line of credit helps you put your crop in the ground and get you to the end of the year to sell your crop. Once you sell your crop, you should pay off your line of credit and hopefully have some money left over. Short-term notes, those would be capital expenditures, like you're going to buy a tractor. Use a different for that. You do that on your line of credit because then you're probably not going to have enough money for everything for your crop. And then long-term would be real estate purchases, facilities, improvements to that real estate. The understanding the 5 C's of credit. This is crucial for farm credit and other lenders for our underwriting process. Character is the first C and sometimes can be looked at as the most important. Because you can build on character, but you can't teach character. Character, you show this in your business plan, your reputation in the industry, and it's very critical to have a good, solid character and to be able to lead your business. Capital is your balance sheet. We look at a couple things. Working capital, what we're looking at with working capital is the top of your balance sheet, your current assets and your current liabilities. And we don't want to see a whole bunch of current liabilities and not a lot of current assets because that shows your working capital is out of balance. That shows stress on your organization or on your business, and it's something that will need to be addressed with some type of a plan if that is a shortage. Owner equity, we also look at what your equity position is, what kind of debt you can sustain, and how that affects whatever you're buying or purchasing. The third C is capacity, And this is basically your repayment ability. What can you afford to repay given the additional debt for what you're looking to borrow money for? Collateral is also important. You'll hear us talk about loan to value. Where are we loan to value? This is the second form of repayment. We don't expect it to be paid back that way, but that helps our underwriting to be able to, this is where we are from a collateral standpoint, and so that you have some vested interest in what we are financing as well. And then conditions is the final C, and this is about accountability. This is, some loans may not have any conditions on them. Other loans may have quite a few conditions for us to be able to underwrite them, maybe because of weaknesses in some of the other C's. So we may have some additional accountability or record keeping that we would have in order to be able to write that loan. In the initial meeting, we suggest that you have a good meeting, meet face-to-face, ideally with a lender before financing is needed. That can set the right expectations for you, so you understand the products, the services, and what's available. Also the timeline of how big a project you're looking to do, because that can make a difference on the timeline as well. You can give guidance for a smooth approval process, and then we can explore other resources. If there are weaknesses or what you're doing is kind of stretching things, we can lean on some other resources and talk about programs that we partner with, such as through the Farm Service Agency, and how that helps and affects the underwriting on your particular situation. So qualification standards and expectations. Be prepared to explain the basis of your business venture. That would be in the business plan. So we can give feedback on the best ways to achieve your goals and get you where you want to be. Ask questions regarding expectations. Also, investigate, formally apply credit history. This overall financial state and history. If you do have bad credit or have something that's gonna have a hangnail on your past credit practices, be sure to be upfront and let us know. A lot of times it's something small like a medical collections that if we know about it ahead of time, it may not even affect the credit process at all. So being upfront is a lot better than us going through the process of pulling your credit and then being surprised and then going, okay, what else didn't they tell us about? So it's really important, and I think it conveys your character as well if you can own up to what you did and give an explanation from the beginning. Down payment capacity. So what part of this venture are you going to put money up for? I think that can help us to understand, where you're at too. A lot of that can be told by your balance sheet, but sometimes people are not sure. Should I put more money down? Should I keep more cash? About too. Applying for credit. Credit needs, operating, equipment improvement, real estate, loan, what the loan proceeds will be used for. And this is important. Sometimes people come and they just say, we need some money. Well, you need to know, we need to understand what it's for, so we have the proper terms on that. And also we understand your operation so it can best suit you. Complete and sign the loan application. That gives us the go ahead to get going on things, to pull credit and to formalize the application beyond just well, I think we can do this, I think we can't do that, the hypothetical. That loan application makes it so that once we have all the financial information, we can go on that transaction and provide all the necessary documentation. That's the balance sheet, the earnings, the projection. That's the stuff that we need. Documentation required, last 3 years tax return, current balance sheet for your farm and personal assets, most recent retirement or investment account, a loan application. If it involves a purchase, we're going to want an invoice or a purchase agreement, and then a business plan, your income and expense projections for the operation. Effectively working with your lender, be a good business person, know how much you need, why you need it, and when you're going to repay it. So a lot of times I ask people, what are you thinking? 5-year repayment, for equipment, or 7 years, 3 years? have a good idea, and then you can talk to your lender. That doesn't necessarily lock you in until we start to lock a rate, but if you have a good idea of what you want to do, it starts the discussion out in the right direction. You prepare financial statements and production data. We'd like to know what kind of a producer you are, what your soils are able to produce, and then just a reminder to use the loan proceeds for the purpose that you stated in your application. Know your repayment capacities and structure your credit needs accordingly. Don't prepare optimistic projections that you know you can't be reached. We like to see realistic, conservative cash flow projections. They don't have to be so conservative that you're gonna surpass them or double them. We want them to be realistic. Realistic is probably the most important word in that sentence. Communicate with your lender and live up to your commitments. Keep in touch on a regular basis. Let them know how your plan's going. Have your lender visit your operation and ask your lender if they'd like to meet with your other key partners in your financial business. So a timeline of expectations, and this is a generality. There can be a lot of different times, but typically a line of credit can be finalized within a few days, assuming that the credit is within $250,000 or less. We don't have an FSA guarantee on it. We can usually turn them pretty quick. Your intermediate term loans, equipment, livestock, these also have a pretty quick turnaround, assuming that they do not have FSA or something like that involved. And then real estate loans typically have a longer time. We're doing a more formal appraisal, title work, things like that take a little bit longer. So from beginning to end, it's going to be 5 to 6 weeks is probably pretty typical. And then if there's any title work issues or anything unexpected along the way, that could delay it longer, but that's, I'd say, pretty standard. GreenStone can help throughout Michigan and Northeast Wisconsin. We offer operating loans, real estate loans, equipment loans. We offer part-time farming and country living loans, crop insurance to minimize your risk. And also we have a number throughout our association that will help with tax and accounting and are able to help you meet your needs in that direction. There's a team of experts, and the Farm Credit has been serving rural communities for over 100 years. Other areas of support that GreenStone offers is the Farm Forward Mentorship Program. This pairs young, beginning, and small farmers with experienced mentors, includes several coordinated conversations and site visits with the mentor and mentee, and tries to line up like industries so that these relationships can continue to bloom for years. I know I have had customers participate in that, and it's always been a good experience. The Farm Forward Grant, young farmers can get up to $1,000 available for agricultural programs and events, GreenStone resources or non-GreenStone resources. More details and the application are available on the GreenStone website, greenstonefcs.com/growforwardgrant. Thank you for your attention, and I would entertain any questions that you would have.